When it comes to football tactics, a lot of managers goes for the 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 hybrid formation, like your Pep and Klopp, or any variant of the three at the back formation, like your Alonso, Tuchel. But one of the tactics that is known or seen as being out of date or old-fashioned in elite or modern football is a 4-4-2 formation. Why is this? Because it is seen as basic and only seen only for its weaknesses, but not for its strengths. This is what will lead us into looking at Diego Simeone 4-4-2 formation, whose team is known for winning the second ball and how to set it up with player roles and player instructions on Football Manager. Diego Simeone team is not about possession or controlling the game, but more focused on the right moments. And what are these right moments? These right moments are when you see them go long or make their underlapping run or cutbacks and through balls or crossings. His team has no basic or focus principle like your typical passing football or possession football. His team is all about the right moments, which is when to pick use the long ball, when to use the short ball or short pass, or when to go direct or what have you. So today, before we dive straight in, please like, subscribe, comment on any practice you want me to work on, or where you see any error or mistake, please shout out at the comment section and I'll be all ears to answer you. And just basically subscribe, because the more you do that, the more it encourages me to do more contents as well. But that's that. So let's dive straight in. So Diego Simeone team is a team that plays 4 at the back, 4 in midfield, and 2 in attack. But when you say it like that, it looks like it's actually simple, but it's not actually simple. It's a team that plays narrow or tries to stay narrow, and a team that is direct with the ball. And most of the time, during defensive period or when they're in a defensive shape, you might see the team turn to a 5 at the back, 3 in midfield, and 2 in attack. And something like this, Gallagher supporting the left back, that's Galan, making it, and Galan inverting to central position, making it look like a 5 at the back and 3 in central midfield with 2 in attack. So, but during attacking phase, you see something like this. Gallagher pushing forward. You see something like this. Gallagher pushing forward. Simeone, Gulani pushing forward as well. The Paul pushing forward with Barrios in the central position, and Gallian overlapping, pushing forward as well. So let's say you have something like, let's just assume something like this. Something like this. Yeah. So basically you'll be having with him as well, with Giuliani pushing forward as well, and Lorente pushing forward as well. So you have something like a 6 in attack, 2 in midfield, in central position, or pushing as well forward to make it something like this. That's 3 at the back, and that's 7 in attack. So yeah, I should back to that. So let me dive straight into player roles and player instruction. So for your goalkeeper, you have Oblak in defend duty. You can use the tackle other option, which I usually use for my goalkeeper, or you can decide not to use it in order to avoid penalties. Well, I've played actually 13 games and I don't think, okay, I've only considered just one penalty, which Oblak actually saved. So, for your central midfielder, I mean defenders, center backs, you have two center backs on defend duty, or you can decide to go with the ball playing defenders on defend duty, but I decided to go with the center back on defend duty. With player instruction, um, mark tighter, just mark tighter alone. And then for your fullbacks, both fullbacks, I decided to use fullbacks on support. With player instruction, mark tighter, get further forward, stay wider, and cross from deep. Why? Because Diego Simeone teams are known for cross, crossing the ball from deep in order to create that overlapping run through balls or passing into space or what have you, something like that. So that's just it. So I will say it again for your fullbacks. You go with the player instruction, mark tighter, get further forward, stay wider, cross from deep. Okay. But for your fullback, oh, sorry about this. Okay, I think my players are messed up. Okay, yeah, for this Gallagher at the left hand side. I have a rest here. Yeah, there. What's the ball being left back? Lorente, yeah, yeah. So I'm good. So for your fullback, which is Lorente area, okay, I've explained that. Mark tighter, get forward, stay wider, cross from deep. Same as your fullback in left hand side. But for your fullback in the left hand side, Galan is actually more aggressive in attack than Lorente because he always pushes further forward. But I decided to go against the wing back on support or attack TT. But you can decide to put it like that: wing back on support, or wing back on attack. And you can decide to use in order to get that more aggressive. You can decide to use this dribble more or take more risks. But I'm actually against that. So that's why I went with the wing fullback on support. But let's try wing back on support. Wing back, wing back, wing back on support. Okay. Yeah, you can still get further forward, mark tighter, stay wider. Still basically the same instruction, cross from tip. But you can decide to go with dribble more. And they say dribble more encourages players to be more individualistic and seek to make gain by dribbling their way past opponents rather than passing their way toward goal. So you can decide to use that or you can decide against that if you're using a smaller or inferior player. So that's that. But for the study, I actually use fullback on support. So we'll leave it at fullback on support. But I'm just telling you in case you want to make use of something different, you can still go for it. Okay, for your central midfield at the left hand side, I decided to go for a deep line playmaker on defend duty, which is the Barros role, because it will actually help in the build up by falling back. It will help in the slow build up of the ball if your team decides to go short and not long ball doing build up, depending on the situation. So we Barrios falls back to this area and at times help out in defense in order to create a three at the back kind of. So you have Barrios in as a deep line playmaker on defend duty with player instruction, mark tighter, just as mark tighter. So you can decide to use for your central midfield at the right hand side, which is the poor row. We went with the central midfielder on support duty, which is I think that's actually okay on support duty. We play instruction, get further forward and mark tighter. Just that, get further forward and mark tighter. So basically, you see him actually helping out in attack and as well coming to defend. But most of the attacking phase, you see him pushing further forward as well, and also helping to build up attacking movements up front or in the at the attacking third. Okay, for your wingers, as you can actually go for at the right hand side, which is the Giuliani row, Simeone row. You can actually go for a winger on support, but I decided to go with the inverted winger on support duty. Why? Because most of the time I watch Atletico, I'm always seeing, usually see him, he's more actually attacking than Gallagher, sorry. Um, so I just decided to use the inverted winger on support, and just to make him more attacking and also to stay wider as well. So on player instruction, we decided to go with the 6 narrow, mark tighter, just that alone. 6 narrow and mark tighter. You can decide to go get further forward when the team has the ball, but just decide to leave everything basic so that the team will be more defensive or maintain that defensive shape. So you can go with the sit narrower and mark tighter. Now, the reason why I'm going to put both of my wingers with the player instruction of sit narrower and mark tighter is because of Atletico Madrid or Simeone team actually a narrow playing team, in the sense that most of the time you see his wingers tuck in the central position in order to maintain that numerical advantage, and also it helps with their press because even when they win the second ball, or when there's a long ball and they decide to win and his team wins that second ball, there are actually more numbers in the central positions for his team in order for them to recover the ball doing such a counter or pressing. So that's why you have much of his wing, as in you see more of his wingers in the central positions than in the wide area. It doesn't basically mean you won't see them playing in the flank. You will see them playing the flank, but most of the time, when the team is actually trying to, or when the team is defending, you see them more of more in the central positions. Okay, for the left hand side, which is the Gallagher row, I decided to go with the wide midfielder with sit narrower and mark tighter. So basically, almost all my players is going to be with the mark tighter because his team tends to be closer to the opponent, like press the opponent, like mark the opponent, kind of not really man marking, because his team tends to keep. I mean, they are more of a shape team than a pressing team. If you understand, if you get me. So, but in FM, just to maintain, to real actualize that, that's why I went with the mark tighter, so that the players actually stay closer to the opponent than away from the opponent. So that's just that. Um. Okay, we're done with that. For your wide midfielder, you have sit narrower and mark tighter. So for your attacking option, we have the first nine for Griezmann. Why did I go for the first nine? Because most of the time he just plays. Griezmann actually plays the way he wants to play. Sometimes you see him at front. Sometimes you see him coming down to central midfield or defensive midfield or at the flank or wherever. So that's why I went for the first nine. And also the reason we are using this is so that to create numerical advantage in central positions as well. Numerical advantage in central position as well. Not to add the extra man in the central positions. And okay, for that player instruction, move into channels and mark tighter. You can decide to go for the roam from position, but I'm against that. So okay, no need for the roam for position because we're actually using the move into channels as well. So for your deep line playmaker, which is Alvarez, or the second striker went for Alvarez in a deep line as a deep line playmaker. I mean, deep line forward on attack duty with the player instruction, just mark tighter. So basically, you still see him fall back to the central position to assist. So basically, you might actually see most of your players in the central positions than in the forward position. That's doing the while maintaining that defensive shape. So but it doesn't necessarily mean they won't attack. When doing attacking phase, you see the team attacking mass as well. So that's just that. So we're done with that. Now we'll be going for the mentality. For mentality, we decided to go with the focused mentality than the balanced one. So we went for focus mentality. But you can decide depending on the team you're playing. But the reason why I went for the focus mentality is because the Atletico team is actually not a bad team in La Liga. And yeah, basically actually the third most strongest or fourth most strongest team in La Liga. So, or third most strongest team. And on a very good day, you might have the upper hand against Barcelona or Madrid, depending who is home and or away. So we went for the positive mentality. But if you're using a smaller team, you can decide to go for the positive mentality or balanced mentality. So in possession, went for the fairly narrow in attacking width, approach play, pass into space in order to achieve those underlapping run or through balls as well. Then focus play, decided to go with focus play through the middle. Now, the reason I went for focus play through the middle is when Atletico tries to build the ball, they don't build the ball with the two central defenders. They tend to build the ball from wide areas, which is the fullback areas. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the ball will be passed to the fullback. It means that your center backs will actually spread wider than actually coming closer to the defender. I mean to the goalkeeper. They spread wider. So basically, your keeper now has the option of passing wide to your center midfielder who passes it to the fullback, or he actually passes it directly to the fullback. And now, by passing it to the fullback, it doesn't necessarily mean that they play from the flank. But when there's no space, they actually play from the flank. But if that space occur, your fullback actually brings the ball back, passes the ball back to the central areas, which is where Barrios or Dapo builds the ball from. And by having and with your team actually having more numbers in the central position, there'll be more passing options in the central position for your team. So that's just that. So that's why we decided to go for the focus play through the middle. And passing style directness, we decided to go for slightly shorter, but depending on how you set it, you might actually see something like slightly more direct. I think slightly more direct, but I decided to leave mine slightly shorter. So in order to sometimes the team might actually go long or go short depending on how they decide to play. So I decided to leave it slightly more shorter, which is the balance row. So for tempo, we decided to go for higher tempo in order to move the ball as quickly as possible. And for final third, we decided to go with mixed crosses. But if you actually have the third striker which Atletico has in Charlotte, where is he? Yeah, this is a I think Charlotte. I don't know if that's a correct pronunciation, but it's good with his head. Yeah, I think it's good with his head. 15 heading and jumping with 16. So um you can go with the mixed crosses, but if you have what the reason I left it in mixed crosses is because at times I might go with Alvarez. Alvarez is naturally short, and Griezmann, they are good with their head as well, but I decided to leave it in mixed crosses. So that's just it. Work from and so we're done with that. So we decided to go for play for set pieces because Atletico is also good in set piece. And you can decide to go for be more disciplined, but I decided to go against. I didn't choose any of that. I allowed my team to decide for themselves. In transition, we'll go for regroup. When the team has lost the ball, we'll go for regroup. Regroup will ask the players to immediately get back into the defensive shape after losing possession in order to avoid players being caught out of position on the counter. So we go for regroup, and when possession has been won, we counter. Player distribution, goalkeeper in possession, we go for distribute quickly. You can decide to go against that by not selecting any. And distribute to area. So what I was trying to explain earlier, we distribute to fullbacks. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pass the ball basically only to the fullback. It just means that your goalkeeper will actually distribute ball to the wider area. Okay. So distribution type, we take short kick. You can decide to go against it by set the ball and leave the place blank. But I went for the short kick. In out of possession, yeah, which is defensive shape, went for the lower defensive line, and mid block went for, I mean, line of engagement went for the mid block. Now, I know some of you might think that there's actually a lot of space here that I'm supposed to bring it higher, but the reason I didn't go for the more space, and I think it's actually balances it, is because I went for the step up more. So by doing for this step up more, because something like this, a lot of you will say I should do it something like this in order to make the fi- the team more compact. But I decided to go against that and went for lower. It's because I went for the step up more. This step up more will ask defenders to typically press typically higher up the pitch in an effort to compact the midfield space ahead of them and give the opposition less room and unchallenged time on the ball. So as you can see, by selecting this defensive line step up more, your team will actually compress or step up in order to be closer to the midfield, your midfielders. So by doing that, they are actually covering the more space left behind. So defensive line step up more, trigger press much more often. This does not necessarily mean your team will press higher. They only press at the mid block. So that's just it. Um Trap, pressing trap. We made use of trap outside. Simeone team are known for directing the opposition to the flank areas where they can outnumber the area and use the byline as an extra defender. So cross engagements. Atletico are actually known for having taller defenders who are good with their head. So you can actually go for invite crosses, but I decided to go against that and went for stop crosses. But it's left to you. I only used it in order to just win games. So that's just it. So you can decide against it. Okay, so we're done with that. So that's basically your Atletico Madrid, how to set the Diego Simeone team in FM, and these are the player instructions, player style, and player rules. So okay, for your results, you can see actually had a very good results in La Liga. Out of we've played, okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We played 14 games, and that is 11 in La Liga and 3 in the Champions League, and we've lost just one game. In La Liga, you can see we won against Barcelona 2-1 away. We had 4-1 victory over Madrid in our home, and we drew 3 matches against Bilbao and Real Betis. Okay, so that's just that. Team stats. You can see most goals we are third, fewest shot against we are 8, most possession we are 8, most dribbles we are third, fewest conceded we are second with 7 goals, most clean sheets we are fourth with 4 goals with 5 clean sheets out of 11 games. Um, most tackles we are fifth, Most pass completion, we're not there. Most shots, we're fifth. Most points per games, okay. Player instruction, most goals, Juliana Alvarez 7. Okay, that's just that. Let's go to the data aspect of it. Yeah, goals per game, you can see we're having 2.3 goals per game, expected goals per game 2.3, conceded per game 0.6, which is basically less than 1 goal per game. So which is a very good one. Expected goals against per game, that's basically one. So we're most times likely to concede just 1 goal in a game. Shots per game, we're averaging 14 shots per game. Shots and targets per game ratio 48. Pass completion 87, but not bad. So that's what Diego Simeone style of play. So basically, please like, subscribe, comment, just anything you want me to work on or any mistake you've seen, just drop in the comment section and I'll work on it. And basically just subscribe. See you in the next video. Thanks very much.